Hey friends, welcome back. Thank you for joining me again tonight. Before we start, if you like this type of content, liking and subscribing really help keep this going. Also, drop in the comments what other game or series you'd like to listen to in the future. I tend to listen to these myself quite often. Tonight, we trace the flame and the vaults, how humanity built its last safeguards, how the flame-born awakenings work, and how small, steady rituals keep whole towns alive. Think of the flame as a language the world already understands. It isn't fireworks or a blast. It's a tone that tells rooms what they're for, tells tools how to behave, and tells people it's safe to be themselves. Long before the Shroud learned the city's routines, engineers and healers worked together on a quieter plan. Carve places that could hold that tone even when everything else went wrong. They called them vaults because the door goes heavy and the air goes cool, but they weren't hiding places. They were tuning forks shaped like rooms. A vault might sit under a plain hill, under a market square, inside a cliff that didn't draw the eye. Inside, the design repeats with small variations. A breathing shaft that keeps temperature steady, a central altar of smooth stone with faint notches under the hand, benches at a height that keeps the spine straight, channels in the floor that carry vibration like wires carry current. If the city fell, the vault wouldn't shout. It would wait at the right pitch until someone tuned to hear it arrived. Who would arrive wasn't left to chance. The Flameborn were the plan nobody bragged about because plans are safer when the wrong people don't argue over them. They weren't gods or legends. They were people built to be reliable under stress, still in their judgments when fear gets loud, aligned to the tone the flame holds. The ancients prepared them like you'd prepare a tool you hope you never use. Test after test for patience, for practical kindness, for whether they could listen longer than they spoke. The bodies were kept where time couldn't find them, the minds taught in a way that leaves skill without clutter. When a vault decides it's time, it doesn't trumpet. It changes the room enough that waking feels natural, the way a good morning does. Clear air, a pulse in the altar that matches your breath, a simple path upward. The first minutes after waking set the shape of years. The Flameborn puts a palm on the altar because the room asks for it. Skin and stone agree on a single note. The body steadies. The mind stops scanning for threat and starts taking inventory. The room answers with information that isn't words. Where the nearest surface flame is alive, where it's only memory, whether the air above ground tastes clean or thick, whether the city's grid is active or asleep, whether other vaults nearby are in keep waiting or open me mode. A good vault keeps the instructions simple. Find the closest altar on the surface, check its base for the maintenance marks left by whoever tended it last, bring it back to its correct chord by hand. This is how the surface map works when the world is unsteady. You travel not by roads, which the fog likes to redraw, but by a chain of altars, pylons, and small way stations built to survive without attention. An altar is obvious once you know the shape. Waist-high stone, clean edges, a place for a hand, faint channels that radiate into the ground. A pylon is for intersections and squares, taller, with facets that catch wind and shed rain, so the surface stays human clean. Way stations are simple shelters with a table, a hook for a kettle, and a logbook that waits for signatures. Every piece is designed for people who are tired. Touch here, warm the hinge there, set a pot to a quiet boil, leave a line in the ledger that says, passed at dusk, tone corrected, returning at dawn. What does corrected mean in practice? It means the flame tone that keeps a place itself has drifted. Drift happens when fog leans in and people lean out. The altar might be a little flat, the pylon might be too smooth. Too smooth makes rooms polite in a way that erases edges. Correcting is direct. You hold the handstone. Every vault issues one, sized to fit most palms, and settle it into the groove. You breathe out while you press. The stone and altar match pitch, and a low vibration ripples through the ground. Hinges ease. Walls hold their lines. Air moves like air again. If the pylon is wrong, you use the tuning keys, small metal tongues that slot into a panel. You don't crank them hard. You nudge them until footsteps sound right on nearby stone. If the steps land dull, add texture. If they land sharp enough to jar, soften a touch. It is maintenance, not magic. People can learn it. Many do. Towns that survived learn to assign roles that aren't glamorous and matter more than banners. A flamekeeper is the person who knows the schedule of altars the way a baker knows proofing times. They carry a handstone, oil for hinges, chalk for notes, and a string of small bells they use to test echo in rooms. If the room swallows the bell, something's wrong. If the bell returns a clean answer, the room is ready for work, for eating, for sleep. A wind reader watches the weather not for storms alone, but for the small shifts that tell you which alleys will stay honest and which will invite fog. They mark doors with a thumbprint of soot in the mornings. Safe, safe afternoon. Avoid today. A thread runner moves between towns on a repeating route, checking way stations, swapping logbooks, bringing news, returning lost tools, and quietly teaching people how to keep their own records so dependency doesn't creep in. The vault network isn't a secret if you live with it. It is a rhythm. Every ridge town knows which vault underlies its ground. Every caravan knows the 3 nearest vaults in case a route closes. When a flameborn passes through, the work is mutual. The town offers a meal that steams and a place to sleep where the wind can move. The flameborn offers a check of the local altars, fixes a hinge that didn't know its own center anymore, and answers practical questions. Yes, the grid can handle 2 more lamplights if you keep the kitchen kettle on. No, don't add a second pylon in the square. Fix the bell instead. Advice is small because small is what holds. Not every vault works perfectly. Some sealed too well and need coaxing from the outside. Others were built near wells, later claimed by shroud roots. They hum with a false calm that tries to quiet whoever enters, rather than steady them. A flameborn approaching a false calm uses simple tests. They knock on the stone lintel and count. If the echo returns too smoothly, they open doors and windows to break the cushion before stepping inside. They bring a follower, someone from town, and have a plain conversation on the threshold before crossing it. If the conversation feels like a whisper when both of you are speaking at normal volume, you don't proceed without changing the air. These rules save lives. There are stories of failed awakenings. They aren't secrets, and they aren't shame. Sometimes a vault woke someone too early, a century before nearby towns rebuilt enough routine to hold them. Those flameborn didn't vanish into legend. Their names are in ledgers and carved under altar lips. They did what they could, walked routes, tuned stones, taught habits, and sometimes grew old before seeing a city return. The success rate rose as people learned to live in a way that leaves fewer hollows. A single caretaker can't hold against fog if the buildings empty themselves. A careful town can hold even if a flameborn is late. A flameborn multiplies what a careful town is already doing. Awakening rituals are plain. When a vault opens inside a community, you don't gather with robes and speeches. You open shutters, you boil water, you invite 3 trades to witness: a mason, a cook, a teacher. The mason checks the stone, the cook sets the simmer, the teacher reads the ledger out loud so the room knows the names of those it serves. If a flameborn steps out, the first words are ordinary. Welcome, sit, this is who we are. Here is what we need. The first tasks are ordinary too. Walk the square, touch the pylon, listen to a hinge. Ceremonies that make too much of a person attract the wrong kind of attention from fog and from frightened neighbors. Keeping it small keeps it strong. Now the balance with the shroud becomes clear in daily life. The fog erases, the flame remembers. Erasing is dramatic, remembering is repetitive. In a contested street, you will see the difference. On the erasing side, surfaces look flawless. Food looks glossy, voices drop, and time feels melted. On the remembering side, you'll catch scuffs, hear proper floor creak, taste bread with a real crust, and notice that the bell rings at the hour even if the ringer is late by a breath. The remembering side isn't pretty in a poster sense, it's livable. People choose livable once they're taught to spot the signs. The ethics around the flame are blunt. You don't take more than a place can hold. You don't brighten a grid to make a street look safe if the bodies on that street are too tired to keep routine. You don't use the flame to force a mood. You don't use it to silence argument. A good argument in a workshop keeps the fog out better than perfect agreement. Flamekeepers get taught to ask one question before every adjustment. Will this make people participate more in their own rooms or less? If it's less, you don't turn the key that way. Let's walk a town that almost lost itself and then returned by using the vault properly. The town sits on a saddle between two shallow valleys. Fog likes saddles because wind lags there. The vault below it was intact. Altar clean. Door true. The problem wasn't inside. It was the square. The pylon had been allowed to tune itself, smoothing over market days until the vendors spoke in the same gentle tone as the lamp flames. Customers browsed and didn't decide. Bread looked perfect and tasted like nothing. The flameborn who arrived did not attack the pylon. They asked the bell ringer to return to the rope. They asked the bakers to switch back to a slower rise. They asked the school to open windows twice a morning and clap patterns for 5 minutes at noon. They retuned the pylon by hand and lowered its smoothness 1 notch. They oiled door hinges and then asked people not to sand the squeak away. It took a week for sound to unflatten. It took 2 for flavors to come back. Once the market felt like a place to decide things, the fog stayed out of the square. The vault below held the tone steady while the surface learned to hold itself. Caravans make this possible across distance. A caravan that knows the vault map can carry steadiness between towns like water in covered jars. Their wagons have bells hung under the axles, loose enough to ring at ruts and tight enough to stay quiet on smooth patches. That pattern lets a camp hear the approach before they see it. At each pass, the lead walker strikes a post with a simple rhythm, 3 and 2, and waits for the echo. If the echo returns as 3 and 2, the air is honest. If it returns as a smear, they hold on the ridge and wait for wind. Caravans carry small stones cut from altar bases, 1 for each place they visit. They set them in a bowl at night and listen. A bowl that hums too smooth means they're near a hollow. They move camp a few lengths until the hum shows texture. This is navigation by what your body already knows when someone reminds it. There are failures, and it helps to talk about them without drama. A town built a new pylon without checking load. It drew tone from the grid that the neighboring valley needed more. The valley's clinic went quiet. People slept too long and woke slow. The fix was quick once noticed. Retune the new pylon down. Return load to the valley. Hold a market by the clinic for a week so conversation stitched the place back. Another time, a well-meaning leader banned all noise after sundown to preserve calm. Calm became an empty plate. Hollow followed. The rule was reversed in 3 nights. Keep the kettle on low in 1 room of every home until the bell at the hour. Let 1 door in each block creak unashamed. Sing a short song after the last bell. Calm returned, this time with weight. Memory matters. Vaults keep ledgers the way ships keep logs. A flameborn doesn't write speeches in them. They write useful details. Hinge at North Gate corrected. Altar reads stable until next cold front. Sarah took the bell rope back. Isa switched the rise and flavor returned on day 4. Children read these entries during lessons because knowing what saved your street is a defense. Stories about heroes help you sleep once. Instructions written in clear words keep you safe for months. Vaults also hold maps that look confusing at first. Not lines and symbols, but circles of tone with notes about hour and season. A wind reader can glance and guess where fog will prefer on a humid morning. A caravan can plan a route that arrives when a town is most itself. You might wonder how the vaults avoid becoming crutches. The rule is simple. The vault offers tone, the town offers practice. If a community stops doing the small work, bells, doors, kettles, arguments, the vault tone grows thin. It will keep the worst at bay, but it cannot restore choices on its own. Conversely, a community that keeps the small work strong can go longer between retunings. You can see this if you watch 2 squares at dusk. In one, the flameborn is always busy, hands on stone, eyes on gauges, alone. In the other, the flameborn walks the edge, nods at a bell ringer, tastes bread, listens to doorways, and only touches the altar once. The second place will last through a winter. The first will call for help twice before spring. There is also the matter of teaching the next people. Flameborn do not stay forever. They move on, or they grow old, or the vault calls them elsewhere. So each town keeps an apprentice book. It lists tasks readable when you're tired. Pylon tune checks at dawn on market days. Kettle simmer maintained in clinic all nights. Doors oiled, but not silenced. Bell by hand when fog rises. Ledger read out loud once a week in the square. Rules on how to welcome a vault opening. No crowds, no speeches, air moving, water hot, 3 trades present. Anyone can step in for a missing keeper if the book is clear, and the book is always clear because it was written by people who knew what it meant to work after a long shift. Finally, the point that keeps people from despair. The flame isn't a dwindling resource. It isn't oil to be burned or a battery to be drained. It's a relationship maintained by how you live. The more consistently you live, in ways that leave fewer hollows, clean noise, honest schedules, visible marks of care, the easier it is to hold tone with less direct effort. The grid brightens when used well, because it's echoing a crowd of small, right actions. That's why the vaults scatter rather than cluster. They don't want to centralize power. They want to seed steadiness so it grows on its own in many places. If you're listening late, eyes half closed, the takeaway for this chapter is simple enough to carry into tomorrow. The flame is practice. Vaults make it easier to begin, but people make it real. Touch the stone morning and evening. Keep one pot at a quiet simmer in the quiet hours. Let a hinge speak enough that you know the door is honest. Ring a bell by hand at the right times. Read names out loud so bodies stay tied to stories. If a place feels too smooth, add texture. Move a chair, open a window, clap a rhythm until the room answers. These aren't tricks. They are how you participate in your own safety. That is the heart of the flame and the vaults. Not a secret weapon, not a hidden empire, just a network of rooms, stones, and habits designed to help tired people do the right small thing again tomorrow. From here, we can travel the ridge routes and watch how towns join their tones together, how a line of markets becomes a corridor the fog can't sand down, how caravans stitch passes into a season, how one apprentice bell ringer in a village you've never heard of keeps a valley awake through a heavy week. For now, breathe, and remember, the world wants to remember itself. Your job is to give it reasons every day.